Hi, everybody. My name is Bill Walker. I've had the good pleasure to serve on the board and wanted to give people something to relax to while they're arriving here and getting their beverages. So I'm going to play a couple of tunes for you, and I think we're going to start in about 10 minutes is the theory.
Yep, sounds good.
So this first tune is by guitarist John McLaughlin, who's a jazz player, and he I don't quite know what the title is referring to, but I know he was kind of into Eastern philosophy and so on. So it's called A Lotus on Irish Streams. And I didn't have any Irish streams handy, but I thought I would throw in a field recording that I made at Muir Woods. So this is the creek at Muir Woods.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay. Next.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Next, I would like to play around with the work of Duke Ellington because, in my experience, the music of Duke Ellington is so amazing that you can pretty much throw anything at it and come up with something great. And I rely on. Oh no, beg your pardon. I'm going to save that for later. Next is a Rodgers and Hart tune that, to me, is part of the Miles Davis legacy. So this is it's called My Funny Valentine.
Very nice, Bill.
Woo!
Thanks,
I'm
everybody.
sure everybody's
and
clapping. They're just muted.
thank
Bill,
you very
that's
much.
Fantastic, Bill. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
As I said in the chat, we're so lucky not only to have you on the board, but to have you on the piano. It's such an amazing talent, and I thank you for sharing your time tonight. It makes a huge difference. It turns it into a real event. So thank you. Everybody, I hope you can all hear me. I wanted to welcome you all to our first ever Zoom annual meeting. Last year we had the meeting in July. Normally we have it in June. So everything's different about this meeting, but it's very important to do it. And there are three real big reasons why we have annual meetings like this. And basically the first and most obvious thing is to connect with members, and then to celebrate the accomplishments of the past year, and also to recognize a huge number of volunteers who help hold this chapter together and make our work possible. So we'll get to all of those things shortly, but right now, I just want to welcome you all here. So if you have a beverage, go ahead and raise your glass, take a swig, and I'm gonna share my screen and get started with my portion of the show.
Here. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, so this is, as I said, the first ever remote meeting that we've ever had, and I'm hoping that it works out. We're going to keep it fairly short, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. Oops, hang on here. The first thing I wanted to do is just kind of celebrate a few of the exciting bird visitors that we've had in Santa Clara County the past few weeks. So if you take a look at these images right here, see how many you can identify, and I'll reveal the names in a moment. And then if you've seen any of these birds, or even all of these birds, that is a big accomplishment. So if you've gotten partway through the list, keep going until you get to the bottom, and we'll see if people get it right. The first bird on the upper left, you probably recognize that as the ruff from Alviso. And the next bird on the second bird on the top row is the Sabin's gull that was reported just a week ago in Sunnyvale Water Pollution Control Ponds. The third bird was reported 2 days ago. That is the summer tanager at Eulastack. The fourth bird is the northern water thrush from Vasona Lake Park, sorry. The second row first bird is a bird that only showed up in my friend's backyard, but she was able to photograph it and put it on eBird. That is the green-tailed towhee. And the next bird, coincidentally, also showed up in her backyard. This is the clay-colored sparrow, but there was another clay-colored sparrow at Eulastack a week or two earlier. The third bird in the second row is white-winged dove. Not very many people got to see that, but apparently there was one good photograph taken of it. The Brandt's cormorant is the third bird on the last bird on the middle row rather. Brandt's cormorant from Salt Pond A4 in Sunnyvale. The bottom left, we have the bank swallow, also in Sunnyvale. Second bird on the bottom row is the red-eyed vireo from Grant Park. Third bird on the bottom row is pectoral sandpiper, and the last bird on the bottom row is Nashville warbler from Sunnyvale Water Pollution. So if you've gotten all those birds' identities correct, fantastic. If you've seen all of them, you are truly amazing. I've seen several of them. There was another bird today that ended up in Alviso, and that was, of course, the Vesper sparrow. Several of my friends got to see it. That would be Bill and Kitty and Garrett and Susan and Chris.
Mike Ambrose.
Mike Ambrose, who actually discovered the bird. And I unfortunately was in a meeting at the time. I didn't get there in time to see it, but maybe it'll be there tomorrow and I'll give it a try. So
Sorry, I kept
anyway,
you in that meeting, Matthew.
no worries. I have the feeling
My
there'll be
fault.
another one. And if not another Vesper sparrow, then something equally nice. But the point is Santa Clara County is filled with birds. It's active right now. This is one of the busiest seasons of the year. Many of us are resisting going outside for good reason. We're trying to be careful. We're trying to be healthy. We're trying to maintain social distance. But it doesn't seem to have affected the birds. They're still out there. So when you do feel comfortable, uh, take a little trip out there and see what you can find. And please wear a mask, of course. So let's talk a little bit about some of Santa Clara Valley Audubon Society's accomplishments in the past year, because there are quite a few. Most notably, the website was completely revamped, redesigned, and switched to a brand new platform. So we saved money. It became easier to maintain. And while Barry did the bulk of all the programming on the design, I was involved in the design. And together, along with other contributors, we've been able to maintain this site on a regular basis, keep it up to date. And if you look at the homepage alone, you'll see 1 or 2 or possibly even 3 new items every single week. So it's a good thing to come back and visit. There's a great story right now about Vayun Tiwari on the bottom right, about an award that he won from National Audubon Society. So take a look at the website on a regular basis and see what's there. It's changing every week. Another accomplishment of the year, we now see the entire year of newly redesigned Avocet quarterlies, winter, spring, summer, and fall. And it's awfully exciting to get new content, to have a really beautiful format. And I can look forward to seeing more interesting content in the future as I approach members to contribute content on anything from native plants to nesting birds or environmental issues. So we'll keep the current content flowing, and I'm going to be approaching a lot of people in the membership for additional content so that we keep the voices multiple and we keep the content exciting. One of the things that came out on our very first winter issue of the newly designed Avocet was the recent protection of nearly 1,000 acres of prime habitats in North Coyote Valley. This was acquired by Open Space Authority, but Open Space Authority was partnering with Santa Clara Valley Audubon Society, another organization, to acquire this land for decades. This has been a multiple decade-long project, which finally reached fruition earlier at the very end of last year. And it was our debut article in the new Avocet. And we have not only Open Space Authority, but all the partner organizations, and especially in our own organization, Shawnee Kleinhaus, who worked extremely hard on this project from beginning to end. So I sound out to her. One thing that email has made possible and what we're freely utilizing is the Avocet updates, which come out monthly. If you heard me say quarterly on the Avocet, comes out every 3 months. Well, in between months, there's plenty of stuff that happens, and many of those things are environmental advocacy issues, environmental action issues. So we use this monthly email, this email blast, to reach all of our members and inform them about not only EA issues, but also events that come up at the last minute or didn't make it into the Avocet, or plans that have changed, or we wanted to broadcast something such as this meeting. Make sure everybody knows about it. So if you haven't been receiving these emails, you can check your spam folder just in case they might have gone there. And if you don't see them there, you can call the office and have April remove you from the do not contact option, and you will then receive all of these monthly emails. And we promise not to fill up your mailbox, but we do promise to entertain you with occasional messages. Another really fun thing that happened this year, in fact, it really sort of began with the shelter-in-place orders, but we've been talking about it for months. Since I came on more than a year ago, I've been hoping that we could get all the ancient avocets online and scannable, searchable. So with the combination of Dick Blaine, who's in the meeting here, Richard Blaine somewhere, he scanned every single back issue of the avocet that we had in our possession, and that's hundreds of avocets. And then he scanned them. Barry organized them into our archive on our website, and they're now completely searchable. And if you take a gander at this, I'm guaranteeing that you're going to find some new stuff that you didn't know before. And it promises to be a really good resource for historical research and just plain armchair reading. So enjoy that. Barry will talk a little bit more about it in his segment. So then, of course, then COVID. And I have the feeling that this phrase, and then COVID, ... will become kind of a phrase of the decade or the century even. It's changed everything about everything. Everybody was affected worldwide, and it affected, of course, our small nonprofit organization. But what did we do during COVID? We didn't sit there and worry about things. We got to action. One of the things that was most immediately affected was the birdathons, the birdathon and the teams. How do we do a team-oriented organization, team-oriented activity when we're instructed not to be near each other, to keep us personal distance, not to gather in groups, etc. All public gatherings are discouraged. Well, we took that time. After the shirts arrived, they were all printed in boxes and ready to hand out, we realized we've got to do something about the teams. And we had already discussed the importance of keeping our teams and our events carbon neutral and carbon negative if possible. So we decided to flag the various teams with either green team or carbon team, low carbon, or both. And that turned out to be pretty exciting when we saw the teams lined up. But something else happened about the teams. We started to see something that we called distributed teams, which meant that the participants would never gather together in one place. There would be no carpooling, and they would simply go where they were told to go by the trip leader. And then they would reconvene remotely after the event, and then they would tally their numbers then. It's such a simple idea, but it was an amazing leap of faith on Barry's part, the chair of the Birdathon Committee and the Birdathon Committee itself, and myself and Carolyn as well. It was a big deal to make this change because it violated all the rules that we'd been running under for decades. But it seemed to be okay because the Birdathon has never been a scientific pursuit. It was intended to be a fundraiser and a fun one at that. So a fundraiser and a fundraiser. And we maintained that. We kept that going. And the truth is that actually we did quite well on this past Birdathon because of these adaptations. So it's a shout out to everybody on the Birdathon committee, especially Barry, who helped organize these teams and create these stories. Now, when I say stories, I talk about like Bird Casso. That was an art-only Birdathon team. All the participants, and I think there were 12, went out and drew or painted birds that they saw. And at the end of the day, we tallied all of the birds that we saw. I was one of the team members. And I created this book to tell the story of Bird Casso. Now, all of the Birdathon teams have got stories, and they're all on the website. And if you haven't already, take a look at them because it represents a huge level of creative thinking on the part of the Birdathon committee and all the participants in the Birdathon and all the donors for that matter, taking a chance on a team that they really didn't know whether would work. But everything did work and it was a fantastic success. Now, somewhere in there, we started to create videos to take the place of some of the things we could no longer do in person, such as in-class meetings or field trips. So Carolyn and I set out to record dozens of videos for our website, and it came out to be that we had so many videos, we had to open up a YouTube channel where we have dozens of videos right now, and each of them with many, many views, some of them with hundreds of views. So this has been enormously popular. It's been one of the main ways we've been able to reach our members during this time where we're all afraid to go outside and be with each other. And it represents something else I think I'll talk about in a moment. As far as field trips go, which we could no longer run, we decided to have virtual field trips. So photographers and filmographers like Carter Gazarowski, a 14-year-old high schooler who I just saw again today looking for the Vesper sparrow after the meeting. He has created the most popular video in an entire catalog. It has gotten well over 400 views. It's by far the most popular. It's a remarkable piece of work. And he's done another one as well on Joseph D. Grant Park. And we have many other virtual field trips. And Bill Walker has done one as well for Cañada Rancho del Oro. So take a look at those virtual field trips. Get a sense of what it's like to go to a place without going. If you have mobility concerns, or the weather is poor, or you are not feeling well, or you're worried about meeting other people and getting contaminated with COVID, take a virtual tour and experience something related to what you would outside. Another development is we created self-guided trips. So in the absence of field trips, we had strong and very specific recommendations about where to go, what time of year, what birds to look for, where to park, how to approach the area, and a map of the area. So this is, I think, the very beginning of the newest version of Birding at the Bottom of the Bay, which will be a remote publication, an online publication. And it's going to feature some of the map features we've accustomed to, some of the amazing website advancements we've made, and I'm really looking forward to it because Birding at the Bottom of the Bay is one of our signature publications. We've had, I think, 4 editions. This new 5th edition will be something unlike anything else, updating all the locations with brilliantly colored photographs, virtual maps, and interactive site. While we were working on our outreach, we also realized that we had not done as much as we wanted to do with accessible birding. With the help of Eunice Chang, who is also in the meeting tonight, we've been able to begin a really exhaustive catalog and rating of sites that are accessible by wheelchair. Now, she has helped enormously get this going, and some of her work is visible on the website, and more of it will be visible soon. It's a remarkable challenge, and it's a remarkable accomplishment to finally get this done. We've been talking about this for years, and finally, we can say that we have evaluated every single site we recommend, whether it's accessible and what facilities it has for people wheelchair bound. One other thing we did with our field trips and our virtual birding trips and our recommended birding locations, self-guided trips rather, is we've taken a strong jump toward bilingual accounts. So we have 2 right now that have been translated into Spanish, and we're going to be doing that on a continuous basis until we have all of them translated, so that we can truly say that our site welcomes people of the Latino community, and that we have not only that mission, but we have the material to distribute and make it available. So I'm really looking forward to that, and it's giving me a chance to study up on my Spanish as well. Somewhere in there, we realized that we had not had a speaker series in a long time, and it was time to bring them back. We've gotten a little bit more comfortable with Zoom because of all the staff meetings and all the board meetings. And we finally decided to take the plunge, and we invited Ben Pearl to talk about snowy plovers and least terns in the East Bay. He gave a fascinating talk. Shortly after that, we had Mike Azevedo, another one of our volunteers with the Cavity Nesters program. He's also an advocate of native plants and creating habitat in your backyard. He gave a fantastic talk on that. And we had Jack Laws just a couple of nights ago doing online real-time demonstrations on nature journaling. He promises to do more of those. Mike promises to do more. And I think we can get Ben Pearl back, as well as dozens of other people to do presentations for us. And we can keep our speaker series alive and strong. And speaking of speaker series, this coming Wednesday, we'll have Richard Tejeda from the Save by Nature nonprofit organization in San Jose. And he'll be talking about reaching the urban community, primarily in San Jose, children, at-promise children, and other communities. So I'm looking forward to that. He has an incredibly moving personal story and a powerful mission for his organization, and we've just become partners with Save by Nature. We realized also that our shop, while it was still selling seed like the end of time, none of the other items were moving at all because there was no browsing in the nature shop. So we decided that we had to put some items on our website so that people could see what we have and they could add it to their phone in Nature Shop order. So if you're buying seed, take a look at the Nature Shop webpage and see if there are any items, books, bird feeders, shirts, other items that are on there, and we'll continue to fill that page with prices. And all you'd have to do is tell April when you call the shop or email her that you'd like to add the Shorebird Guide or some other title to your order, and it'll be ready to go for curbside pickup when it's available. So over the past year, we have become a stronger organization. Our membership has increased. Our membership, our actual number of members we have is in the neighborhood of 1,200. We have over 1,000 memberships, but remember, many of those are family memberships and count for more than one person. So we're estimating 1,200 members currently, which is the highest it's ever been, but we need to continue growing. And how do we do that? One of the things we've decided to do is work more on our social outreach and presence. Danny Christensen and Laura Coatney have worked with the outreach committee to populate and launch our Instagram site, our page. And it's filled already with fantastic stories, images, events that are coming up. And the image right in the middle is Vayun Tiwari, who just recently won a fantastically prestigious award from National Audubon, and he's a member of our chapter. So you can look for him on Instagram, you can look for him on the cover of our website, and we promise that Instagram will be populated on a regular basis and frequently with fun, informal, and relevant material. We're hoping also that channels like this, Instagram, Facebook, will make us more attractive and more appealing and more visible to younger audience. So this is one thing we're trying to do to reach more audiences. And as I mentioned before, we have new partnerships that we forged with Save by Nature, but also Latino Outdoors. The big thing I like to remember about this is when we form a partnership with these organizations, we are not simply sharing what we offer. We're learning from what they provide. So I'm hoping that we're going to learn quite a bit from Latino Outdoors and Save by Nature about how their community works, how they enjoy nature, what we can do to help them, and how we can learn to appreciate nature in the same way that they do. So as I said, Richard Tejeda from Save by Nature will be speaking on this coming Wednesday. Latino Outdoors and Save by Nature also will be doing videos, bilingual videos. In the future, we'll be having bilingual talks, virtual field trips and such with them. So this is very much in the works. So this past year has demanded so much from all of us. It's like no other year you could possibly imagine. And the only thing that made it possible was our members and our volunteers. And for that, we are so grateful for your support. But I realize when I say that I'm leaving out an important part, two important parts of this equation. One is our staff. We have a core staff of 3 people. That would be April Austin, Shawnee Kleinhaus, and Carolyn Knight. They all 3 of them do incredible, incredible work at the ranch on a weekly basis. April runs the office, from everything from memberships to donations to nature shop sales to questions and answers on the phone, scheduling. It's incredible what she does. She's an amazing powerhouse, and I'm so lucky to have her on my staff. And we're so lucky to have her at the shop and at the end of the phone when you call. Shawnee Kleinhaus, of course, is a powerhouse when it comes to EA, environmental action. For decades, she's been working with environmental issues. And for the past, I think, 12 years, she's been working with Santa Clara Valley Audubon Society as the force behind much of what we do. The advocacy aspect is one of the 3 pillars of our chapter. And we're so grateful to have her support, her constant effort, and we'll look forward to seeing more of her work and the team of volunteers she commands. And finally, Carolyn Knight, who began as an intern, I think 3 years ago, and has worked her way up to the education and outreach specialist. She now controls the education program, coming up with new ideas, rallying volunteers, getting the wetland discovery docents together, creating videos like crazy. She is another incredible force of power behind Audubon. So donors, volunteers, members, staff, and finally board. The board, this is a board that likes to get things done. This is a board of 10 people that care about what Audubon stands for, and there is no end of my thanks for them. They've made my job not only wonderful, but they inspire me to do a better job, and I thank the board as well. One thing that I want to bring up as far as thank yous.
Hey, Matthew?
Yeah?
Don't you think it's time for a quiz question?
Oh, yes. Let's have a quiz question.
All right. So we've only got a few questions, but I tried to make them fun. And playing with Zoom, they have this polling feature. So I'm going to put up a quiz question, and you guys all have a chance to answer it. So let's give this a try. New technology for me, so we'll see if it works. All right. Which of these birds has never been recorded in Santa Clara County? Can everybody see the quiz? Hopefully everybody can see the quiz. Can you see the quiz? Yes. Okay, cool. Yeah, I see answers coming in. The surprising thing to me is that all but one of these birds have been seen in this county. And if you look at these birds, this is not their normal range. I mean, kind of surprising. We have such an incredible diversity of birds in the county. I mean, and the slide that you showed at the beginning, Matthew, that was just in like the last 2 weeks, right?
The red-eyed vireo was several weeks earlier, but yeah.
Okay, but almost all of them were in the last 2 weeks. I mean, half of them I think were in the last 5 days, ever since the weather got good enough for us to go outside.
Yeah. Do you want to show the results of the survey now or later when we reveal the answer?
We're going to show the results right away, because that's the only way I know how to do it. All right, here is everybody's answers. It looks like 3 people thought flammulated owl had never been seen. Well, it turns out we've had a flammulated owl in the county. I don't remember when it was, but
yeah, I could tell you where that information came from too.
Yeah, the magnificent frigate bird was just seen 3 weeks ago as a flyover, and somebody managed to get a photo. So that one's been seen in the county. Pinion jay, 7 people thought that had not been seen, but pinion jay has been seen in the county. Everybody knew that northern shrike has been seen in the county, and LeConte's sparrow has been seen in the county. Shall I tell the answer now, Matthew?
Sure.
No.
Nope. All right, let's wait. Let's reveal all the answers at one time at the end.
Okay. All right. Well, then we'll leave you wondering which of these 4 birds at the end has not been seen in the county ever. All right.
All
Okay.
right.
Sorry to interrupt. You can go back
Oh,
to your regular
my
presentation
pleasure.
now.
I didn't mean to talk so long, but this will just take another minute. So I wanted to.
He's unmuted.
I am. Yeah.
I can hear
So-
you. Hopefully everybody else
Good.
can hear you.
Good.
Ginger was muted. Okay.
So part of the goal of tonight is not only to debut the annual report, but to thank you all. And one way that we do that is by publishing this annual report, because inside of the report, we have many of our volunteers listed, and our entire chapter, the story of our entire chapter is here for you to see. And it's obvious when you read through it that how much of this chapter relies on you donors and members. And we wouldn't exist without you. That's obvious. We work because of your interests in the environment and our shared interests. So inside you'll find a letter from Barry and myself, and you'll find 3 spreads that describe the 3 pillars of our organization: education, conservation, and birding. As I mentioned before, the importance of conservation in Shani Kleinhouse's strength in that area, her amazing efforts, not only with Coyote Valley, but with light pollution, dark sky, and illuminated billboards. One of the things that in bird safe design, one of the things that I particularly find interesting in what she does is she gets in on city planning early in the game, so that our interests as environmentalists and birders will maintain the focus of the planning of parks and buildings. She also forms long-lasting and powerful relationships with companies like Facebook and Google to create workable bird habitats like the Green Roof on Facebook and the Egret Rookery on Google Campus. So without her efforts and those of her team of volunteers, none of that would happen. So we have her to thank for that. And part of your contributions each year go toward the upkeep of this important pillar. You just have to look at this list of donors for a moment and consider how many names are here. All these people have helped us do what we did this year. These are donors from this past year. So a huge thank you to all of you, no matter what you donated, whatever your contribution was, thank you. You made so much possible this year, and it will have a lasting effect. So what's ahead? I'm going to end my little presentation here and just face you for a moment. Can you see me? Can you see me? Okay, good. So what's happening this year is that despite the discomfort we experienced with COVID, this coming year, we're going to not only prepare for the return of field trips, but we're going to prepare for the possible not return of field trips. We're going to continue to develop online learning, online field trips, virtual trips, because even when COVID is gone, I think there's going to be a great appetite for these resources on our website, on YouTube, et cetera, on Instagram. They have a use that extends beyond the immediate COVID situation. So I'm looking forward to not only that, but refining and improving our curriculum for the schools, making it not only feasible to do in-class presentations in person, but also remotely. I'm looking forward to the time where we can offer both of those to schools, and we're already very far on that path. So we'll continue to explore these virtual options. One of the things, because of all the videos and content we've generated before, we're realizing that we're actually quite close to being able to release an adult education program. And we're hoping to launch that after the first of the year with videos and remote classes, Zoom classes. So looking forward to that. We have got to grow our chapter. It's always something that's on our list of goals. And one way we're going to be doing that is through the diversity outreach and the partnerships that we're forming with the 2 organizations I mentioned and others that I'm not sharing quite yet. We're hoping to pursue some educational programs in South County, particularly in the Coyote Valley area. This is a little premature. It's not quite there yet, but we are planning on doing important work in Coyote Valley as part of our education program. And part of that will be seeking new grants, as is always something on our list. So those are some of the goals, some of the most obvious goals for this coming year, to grow, to learn, to practice what we've learned, and to keep the chapter on target. So with that, big thank you to everybody once again for supporting the chapter. And I'm going to hand it off to Barry for his portion of the program. So here's a toast to everybody and to you, Barry. Thank you. I need to say something about you first, Barry.
About me? Oh, okay.
About you. When I came on board more than a year ago, I didn't know you. I had met you once or twice in the field. I'd heard your name. I knew you came as a team with Ginger. The two of you worked together so well. Since then, now that Diane has stepped down, she's termed out as board president. We have a new president. Working with Diane was fantastic. She welcomed me into the chapter. Working with you has also been fantastic in different ways. You've got different skills. And I find I imagine you and Ginger both as close friends. I've noticed that we text each other over the weekend. We exchange recipes. We exchange bird reports. And I just love working with you. You and I share so many ideas, and we're both unafraid of taking chances. And I have so much to thank you for, and so much to be grateful for. So thank you, Barry. Take it away.
Thank you, Matthew. That was a wonderful introduction. And I am truly enjoying working with you too. I have been so excited since you started as our executive director, and seeing the energy that you bring and the enthusiasm for birds and your graphic art skills and all of the other skills that you have really done so much to make this chapter more exciting, more dynamic. So it's really cool. Let's see. Hi, everybody. Isn't this cool? We're just hanging out together, and it's safe. We can do this safely and no masks. It's like cozy and yet a big meeting at the same time. So that's kind of interesting. Which means I think it's time for one more quiz question. Second quiz question. Let's see. No, do not relaunch poll. You've already seen that one. So number 2. What was the most recent native North American species to be observed for the first time in the county? So this time, this list might look familiar to everybody. All of these birds have been seen in the county. Exactly. Now, if your memory serves, you can figure out the last one. We'll just put this up for like 30 seconds, maybe a minute. So yeah, if you can figure out which bird I eliminated from the previous quiz, you can't still see the other quiz, right? The other quiz is gone. Okay. Well, you guys can chat with each other in the chat and give me your theories. All right, we've got half the people voted. That's probably enough. This is supposed to be fun. So I'm gonna end the poll in 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. I'm gonna wait till it says 10 there. Okay, end poll. All right. Okay, and Matthew, you want me to wait till the very end before we give away these answers?
Well, show the results if you don't mind, but
okay,
yeah,
share the result. Here's what you guys thought. So most people thought the magnificent frigate bird was the most recent bird seen. And that's totally reasonable to think that, because we just had one in the county and they're super rare in the county. But that wasn't the first time it had been seen in the county. So it's not the magnificent frigate bird. Maybe we'll just leave it at that. We'll just leave it at that. That's good enough. Good answer, but not the correct one. At least based on Matthew and my research. We had to research this one. Why are you laughing? People in my household aren't on mute, so I can tell when they laugh. Okay, I don't know if his enthusiasm came out, but I wanted to reiterate this annual report. We're really excited about this annual report. I think it does an excellent job of encapsulating everything that's important about Santa Clara Valley Audubon. It's very clear. It's got lots of excellent information, and it's something you can share with friends. You can give to other people who want to know what is our chapter about. This really explains what we're about. And I will share one slide or two slides related to this. So I'm going to do some screen sharing. And once again, technology. So we'll have to make sure technology works. That's my intro screen. So this is our annual meeting. You may remember we normally do this in June. We changed all of our plans because of COVID. And so now we're doing it in September. And since it's an annual meeting of an organization, we have to do meeting business. However, Diane Hart, the previous president, was really wise like 3 years ago. And she helped bring Audubon into the digital age. One of the things she did, one of the many things she did, was updated our bylaws to allow things like voting by email. So something we didn't used to have. We used to have to vote in new officers and other things at the annual meeting, or we had to hold special meetings to vote for things. But our bylaws now allow voting by mail. We did it last year before the physical annual meeting, and we did it this year. If you can remember back to June, you guys voted for all of the people here in blue, including me up here as president. Bill Walker is our vice president now. Joan Layton continues on as secretary. Bob Hurt is our awesome treasurer, and you'll see some of his work in one of my slides. And then we also have Michael Armour, Gabrielle Feldman. Diane Hart is still on the board. She termed out as president, can only be president of the board for 3 years, which I'll probably be grateful for. This is my first year. Vivek Kansode, and Sue Pelmulder is just now starting as a new board member. She started in July. We're really happy to have her. And I just put her short biography up on the web page. If you go to the website and look for who we are, you can read all about Sue and learn interesting things about her. Like, she got started, her interest in nature started at a very young age when she went backpacking at 3 years old. So that was something new I learned about her. And John Richardson. So because you already voted in June, we don't actually have to do any business. We can only have fun today. But I did want to point out the transitions. Diane has termed out as president. Peter Hart, after 9 years on the board, has left the board. So he's no longer doing board work, but he's still out there and still active in the community. And Sue. So that's it for official gavel business. Clack, clack, clack. Take a break. So, as president of the board and as good friends with Matthew, one of the things I am working towards in our organization is reaching out to a wider community, to more of the community. And that's not just, you know, we're in the middle of a lot of social unrest right now in the world with Black Lives Matter and all of the protests and political issues, etc. I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on bringing us together. We have been a wonderful community in the past, and we continue to be a wonderful community now. And as Matthew talked about, we have done some amazing work to try to reach out to groups that we've never really strongly reached out to before. And so we're working really hard, and ideas, if you guys have ideas, we're taking any ideas you have to do an even better job. So that includes gender identities, lifestyles, ethnicities, reaching out more for wider age groups, differently abled people. Everybody that shares a love of birding and nature is welcome here. And I want them to understand that they are welcome here. You are welcome here. So that's my soapbox. We did update our diversity statement this year. made it a little stronger. And that's also in our annual report. And I believe it was in the last issue of the Avocet, so you can read that there. So in that vein, most of this I think is repeating what Matthew had said, but I just wanted to re-point out a new alliance with Saved by Nature, and please check out Richard Tejeda's talk this coming Wednesday. We're now working with Latino Outdoors. We're going to be doing some interesting things with bilingual videos with them and other collaboration efforts. We've got the accessible birding page up online, and the self-guided field trips that you guys have been seeing also now include accessibility information. And accessibility is not just about wheelchairs. It's about all types of abilities. Some people love to go birding, but they can't walk for very far before they need to sit down. So we give information on how frequently, how close are the benches. Just lots of different potential issues, and how can you overcome them to have a great time birding. And lastly, I'm really excited that we launched Instagram on Friday. It went live on Friday, although several people, I think 45 people, found it before it went live, which is pretty cool. Instagram is interesting for a number of reasons. One is we were already on Facebook. We had recently gotten on Twitter. We already have a great web presence. I'm missing one. Oh, our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel has just exploded, and it's amazing. But Instagram tends to reach a younger audience, and I really want us to reach out more to the younger audience. Those are all the birders of the future. And it's really been amazing to see a lot of the younger birders adding a lot of energy and interest to our chapter. All right. So there's two slides here. This is the boring financial part. So for those of you that don't care about finances, you can tune out and like type in chat or something. But Bob Hurd and I will enjoy these two slides and a couple of the others. So there's two things: the money that comes in and the money that goes out of our organization. You can see from this slide, our organization is still fairly small. If you compare us to things like Monterey Bay Aquarium or National Audubon, we're a very small organization, but we do have an operating budget of about $500,000. Where does that money come from? Well, most of the money, if you look on this donut chart, you can see this kind of looks like a letter C here. Most of the money comes from comes from our donors. It comes from the memberships. It comes from the drives like the Birdathon and the environmental advocacy campaigns and things like that. You guys are what make this organization financially solvent, to use a financial term. Bob's the finance guy, so I have to be careful and use the right terms. I did want to say about the Birdathon that, so I started as president in the spring, but before that I was the chair of the Birdathon committee, and COVID happened as we were planning the Birdathon. We were planning the dinner, the kickoff dinner, when the COVID lockdowns occurred, and we immediately had to change all of our plans. And it was not clear at all that the Birdathon was going to succeed. But it was, to me, it's been really gratifying, and I'm really amazed that not only was the Birdathon fun this year, even though we couldn't actually bird together, we did actually feel like we were birding together because of all of the different ways we were able to communicate with each other. We came up with a ton of great new ideas, like the bird casos that Matthew talked about, of different ways we can do Birdathon that we'd never thought of before, many of which are going to be awesome to just continue on once COVID is behind us. And we made more money this year than last year. So we exceeded our expectations for the Birdathon. So I just wanted to say those things. That gave me a lot of confidence that we were going to make it through this year, and we're going to make it through next year. However long COVID lasts, we're going to do great. We keep coming up with new ideas, and every time we get thrown a challenge, like you can't go outside because of the smoke, we come up with something new. So that's where the money's coming in. And then here's how the money is spent. And now this one, I kind of want to point out three pieces of this donut. I chose donut chart rather than pie chart because I like donuts more than pie. Ginger might disagree. Anyway, these three slices of the donut, pieces of the donut, are all of the programs that we do as Santa Clara Valley Audubon. So most of the money, 80% of the money that comes in goes straight back out into the programs. 10% goes into fundraising. That's mostly things like printing and cost of envelopes and things like that, stamps, and 10% goes into administration. For a small nonprofit organization, these are actually very good numbers. And all of this stuff can be read about in much more detail in the annual report. There's a really nice write-up that Bob did. And at scvas.org/financial, you can see more detailed versions of these charts. You can see a balance sheet. You can find our old tax documents. We've been putting up everything we can to be as transparent as possible about our finances, because we want everybody who supports us to understand what we're doing with your money. All right, I think this is a good time for the third quiz question. I'm going to stop sharing for a sec. Number three is not going to tell you anything about the previous two. Number 3 is slightly different. And here we go. Which of these local place names do not occur in Santa Clara County? And you can pick more than one. Somewhere between 1 and 5 of these place names do not occur in the county. Oh my gosh, there's 45 unread chat messages. Out of control. They're having their own meeting in the chat room. You can say in the chat room whether you like these poll questions. I'd be curious how much fun they are. They were fun to write. And there's only 4, so you know, if you don't like them, you know, they're going to end soon.
Oh, Danny says she can't see the quiz.
Oh, what? Oh no, I'm sorry, Danny.
Danny's on,
okay.
Danny's on browser, so she doesn't have that capability.
Oh, Ginger's typing the quiz answers. I'm just going to list off the answers here. Try not to, you know, don't have a poker face, but the choices for place names that do not occur in the county are Coyote Creek, Coyote Hills, Coyote Lake, Coyote Valley, Coyote Point. And if anybody knows of any coyotes that aren't on this list, I'd be curious, and then we'll make it even better next year. I thought Coyote Slough would be a possibility, but there doesn't seem to be a Coyote Slough. It's Coyote Creek all the way out into the bay. All right, that's enough time on that poll. We'll come back. That's not right? You think it should turn into a slough?
Yeah, it should be renamed slough.
Fast flowing. I don't know. All right, I'm going to share the results. Here's what you guys thought were the right answers. And we'll talk about the right answers at the end. Oh, you missed it. That's okay. You know the answers already. Okay. All right. So that's it for the poll. Back to screen sharing. I think I only have one more slide. I might have 2 more slides. We'll find out in a second. Oh, I do. I have 2 more slides. So I have been, first off, the archives, the Avocet archives. Thank you, Dick Blaine, so much for scanning thousands, over 6,000 pages so far of our historical documents going back to 1929. And thank you in advance, Dick, because we just handed you a large pile of Avocets from some of our members who are good at holding on to documents. That's the way I like to think of it.
Partners.
Thank you, Bob and Al Eisner, for holding on to. So we believe we will have, as soon as everything is scanned and uploaded. Right now we have a lot of gap years for some reason between 1980 and the current year. We should have all of those missing years between 1980 and now filled in. There might be 1 or 2 missing. After we get these all uploaded and organized, I will put out another call for anybody who has old Avocets, because we'd really like this to be a complete archive. And there are some really old ones that are missing. They may be gone forever, but I think also that the San Jose State University San Jose State. San Jose State has a collection of some of the old avocets in their library. So when I can, I'm going to go there and see what they've got. A lot of the
You like
meetings,
microfiche.
excuse me,
You like microfiche?
they might be on microfiche. We'll see. We'll see. But many of the early meetings in our early years were held at San Jose. What was it called then? San Jose City College? San Jose College, I believe. Anyway, which brings us to what to me is the biggest mystery of our archives. And that mystery is, what year did the Santa Clara Valley Audubon Society, what year were we founded? What year did we start? Now, if you go back to this awesome document, oh, I'm sharing my screen, you can't see. Ha. This wonderful document, which we found in our archives, is called History of the Santa Clara Valley Audubon Society, 1925 to 1962. So it goes all the way up to 1962. So there's been a lot of history since then. From that, we know that the very first meeting was held on January 8th, 1925. There were about 45 odd people there. And also from that document, we know that they held meetings pretty much every month in 1925. And yet for some reason, on our letterhead, on our stickers, everywhere you see established 1926. So I've been going through the archives trying to find any clues, and I've only found 2 clues. And if anybody out there knows any more information, I would love to hear it. But the 2 clues are, in 1991, we were trying to get a volunteer historian to write the history from 1962 to the present, to 1991 at that time. And there was a typo. That document that I was holding up to you, they said that was the history from 1926 to 1962. So it's possible that that typo is what propagated this mistake. And then the other clue I found was in 2004, an article in the Avocet said, back in 1925, so they acknowledged 1925, a small group of birders gathered together in the Santa Clara Valley of orchards and gardens and decided to form an Audubon chapter. SCVAS was officially founded in 1926. So what does that mean, officially founded? It's just going to stay a mystery for now. Think about it. Type stuff in the chat, send me email. I would love to figure out the answer, because we have to change our letterhead and our stickers and everything if we're established in 1925. But I like thinking that we started in 1925 when 45 people got together and started talking about the California condor. Oh my gosh, they're what's going to happen to the condor? Are they going to be okay? And pelicans, and it's this love of nature and this caring about the environment that brought us together to begin with. And the same values that we had back then, we continue on with now, and they haven't changed. Pelicans are actually doing okay though, so that's pretty good. All right, lastly, so in our in-person annual meetings, you may remember that we have done a silent auction. We had sort of booths around the back of the auditorium, and people would go and look at all the cool items, and they would write their name on a clipboard, and at the end of the meeting, we would tell everybody who bid the highest. Well, we didn't want to do that tonight because it would take too long. So what we have done is we have created an online silent auction. We're going to leave this up for at least 1 week. After 1 week, we're going to evaluate and see if people are getting a chance to look at and bid on the items. And all of the bidding and all of the stuff happens online. I'm just going to click on this link and take you to our website, and you'll see SCVAS silent auction. I will put a link to this on the front page of the website, so you'll be able to find it really easily. But if you look down here, you see the most important things I want to point out are this bid on an item button, nice big bid on an item button, and then all of the items. And if you scroll through, you'll see we have a bunch of prints. We have some original artwork. Some of these prints are signed and numbered. Some of them are framed. After that, we have a bunch of antique or out of print books, all about birding, of course. Some of them are really, really rare. And then we have what we call miscellany, which kind of means three-dimensional objects. These are things like ceramic birds, and we have a spotting scope case and a door knocker and a lovely ivory-billed woodpecker. So those are the items that you can bid on. And after the meeting, you can go look through this, take your time looking through it. And we also have, if you click on one of these C lot item descriptions, every item has a description on this page, and many of them have stories. So you can read the stories about these items and decide which items you like and just bid on them. And all of the money that you bid, every dollar that you bid is going to go to Santa Clara Valley Audubon Society. It will go towards our programs. So that's the cause. All right. So that's our silent auction. It is now officially live. And I think that was my last slide. Yes, that was my last slide. So I can stop screen sharing. And I believe it is now time to hand it over to Carolyn, who's going to talk about our education program and volunteers. So thank you all.
Yeah, so COVID kind of kicked us in the teeth at the very start of our spring education season. We got 1 week into the spring season of our wetlands discovery program. If you're familiar with that, it's a really intensive, involved program. We're in the classrooms with the students, and then we take them out on field trips. We got one school into the season and everything shut down. So in response, we had to shift gears pretty quickly. With that, and with the docents, all of the volunteers involved with that, we started going through our curriculum. We used it as a training opportunity to refamiliarize ourselves with our curriculum, and started assessing where we needed to make some changes, where we could add things. So now that we've had the spring and the summer, we're currently working on producing a virtual wetlands discovery program with the help of the amazing docents who've really taken on the challenges that come with figuring out how to make Zoom work, figuring out PowerPoint, videoing ourselves, writing scripts, researching. We're looking forward to being able to offer the Wetlands Discovery Program as well as our standard class presentations, and hopefully adding a couple of presentations to that list to schools. And the really great thing that we're really excited about with this is the virtual platforms doing these things online and over Zoom allows us to work with schools that we haven't been able to before, whether they're too far out or the schedules just don't work because we can't be two places at once. And that's something that has been a net positive for COVID. I'm really trying to find all the good bits of this whole mess whenever possible. And one of those things is that all of this virtual learning does mean that we can make things more accessible for all of the students within our county. So the videos that we're making for Wetlands Discovery Program, they're going to be captioned, so students that are hard of hearing have no difficulties being able to follow along with what we're teaching. We've actually got some really wonderful volunteers who are going to be translating those videos and all of the other materials into Spanish for us. So the Wetlands Discovery Program is going to be fully bilingual, which I'm really, really excited about because my Spanish is not awesome. So I can trip through a field trip or a school program, but it's I'm very excited that someone who's far better qualified than I am is going to be able to take care of that. I don't have anything for a closed caption birding by ear. Sorry, Chuck. But maybe Matthew can work on that for a project. But I am really excited about the expansions that we're making to our curriculum. We're hoping to have those accessible to teachers in October. So we can open that catalog up and have it available. I've been contacted by a teacher who wants to make a video on owls for Halloween for her class, and I'm really excited about that. We're just going to talk about our local owls, and we've got a ton of those. So that's really exciting. And we've even been able to come up with a game plan for Wildlife and Harvest Day. So many of you guys are familiar with that festival. We usually hold it in October in Blackberry Ranch. It's a really fun, very family-friendly event that's always brings a ton of people in. We get to interact with a ton of our local environmental and conservation groups. And once again, COVID ruins that. But we are going to be doing a virtual festival. So October 24th, you can turn on your computer, tune into Facebook and our website, and you've got all of the really cool parts of the festival, seeing live animal exhibits, going on a bird walk in Charleston Slough, watching birds with us in front of the ranch, as well as quite a few environmental groups and animal related groups that are putting together their own videos and their own projects with us, including arts and crafts. So you will be able to make a nest box, just not with us, but we are providing those kits. They will be available to you, all without ever leaving your house or having to actually get dressed. So we're really looking forward to that. It's really exciting. Once again, because it's virtual, we've got groups that are coming from a pretty good distance away that we don't normally get to see. So while you may be familiar with many of our typical participants for Wildlife and Harvest Day, we've got a couple of newcomers, including a group that works on beaver conservation. And I'm really excited about that one because that's cool. I mean, so we've got a lot of things on the stovetop right now, and we're really, really excited about it. Barry, do you want to give us another quiz question?
Why, yes, I do. We have one last quiz question. Are
This is
you
my
ready?
favorite one.
This was the one that was the hardest to figure out how to do as
So
a
of course
multiple choice
Matthew's
quiz.
favorite.
Matthew's favorite. All right.
It just posed
called-
technical difficulties.
Wait, which warblers are what? Okay,
All right.
three species of warbler that have been seen in Santa Clara County don't have the letter W in their name. Can you name them?
And your options are yes, no, I thought of one, oh, I have two of them, or is this a trick question?
Because, if we had listed them, you might have figured it out. People are answering quick. This is cool. Ginger got them all. Yes. Matthew got them all when we were testing. Just saying. I could only think of two. I could only think of two of them. The one that really gets me is common yellowthroat. Common yellowthroat has a W.
It's just
I
him.
think. Okay, I don't know for sure if this is true, but I think that the three birds not only don't have a W in their name, they don't have a Y in their name. Can you confirm that, Matthew, without saying anything out loud? No, there's no Y in that bird. Okay, Also, this is trivia on top of the trivia. There is no W in their Latin names either.
That's incredible.
All right, end poll. You guys had enough chance to see. A lot of people thought of one, which is cool. I'm gonna end the poll now. You guys in 3 seconds. Boom. Okay, end poll. Share results. So a lot of people thought of one. It looks like a lot of people couldn't think of any. Some people thought of two, and 2 people said yes, they could think of all 3. So of course, it's a halfway trick question. If it has the word warbler in its name, it's out right away. So that eliminates a lot of choices right there.
That's a really good hint right there.
It's a really good hint. What are the 3 left besides common yellowthroat, which doesn't have the word warbler in its name, that don't have warbler in their name? Okay, well, we'll reveal them after Carolyn gets a chance to finish up all her stuff. If you have more stuff.
So I do have more stuff because now it's
good
time for our volunteers. So let me share my screen. So this is really an organization that is built on our volunteers. And this is our opportunity to basically call y'all out. Thank you guys for all of the work that you do for us, for our organization, and for the birds. It really would not be the same. We wouldn't be able to do a fraction of what we do in a year without our volunteers. So I'm going to be going through the... We had a lot of volunteers this year. So Carter is...
Yay!
One of them. Yeah. So Carter is one of our newest volunteers.
Carter!
And he basically took the shelter in place as an opportunity to really get creative with volunteering. We've already mentioned his videos on our YouTube channel, but if you haven't seen them yet, or if you don't remember all of the details, I really do encourage you to check out our YouTube channel. He explores Ed Levin and Grant Ranch County Park. So you get a good chance to see some of the birds that you can find there, get the lay of the land if you're planning on visiting those locations. And it's a really good way to just kind of get out of your head and get out of your apartment or your house, even if you can't leave. So Dick Blaine, he did a ton of work with the Avocet archive. We mentioned 6,000 pages. We had stacks and stacks of Avocets that we had found in the basement and in our storage unit. And they were really cool, but we didn't know what we were really going to do with them. But because of Dick's work of scanning all of those pages by hand, we are really building a really cool historical archive that people can search through, that you can reference. And it's nice to have those in a medium that we don't have to worry about, well, if the ranch floods or if something happens to the storage unit, we have all of that data now preserved.
Fantastic.
And that's really important, and it's a ton of work. So thank you so much, Dick. Oh, also, shout out for this. Dick is also the leader of the California Bluebird Recovery Project. So if you're into nest boxes, he's really the go-to guy if you're interested in the cavity nesters at all. So for environmental advocacy, Linda Rothruff, she has been on the EAC for 10 years. And she's really been invaluable when it comes to determining or helping to decide what projects we go after, what concerns that we really need to focus in on, because advocacy is always going on. There's no off season. There's always multiple things happening at once in different cities across our county. We cover a ton of space, and there's a ton of people, there's a ton of businesses, there's a ton of governments that are involved in every single development project. So she has lent her understanding to that. She's been a sounding board. She attends city council meetings. And if you've been to those are long. They are very, very long. Now you can watch them on YouTube, live streamed, and get a sense of how long they are from home. And she reviews council agendas to see if there are any upcoming issues that we as an organization need to be concerned about. And she's just really been invaluable as a volunteer and a resource. Eunice Chang, she's another one of our volunteers. She's been involved with our field trip and our outreach committees. And as it was mentioned, she has been really kind of our leader in bringing us to address issues of mobility. We as an organization want to make birding something that's accessible for everyone. And she's really guided us in how we can make sure our resources give the most accurate and useful information possible. So if you check out our self-guided birding tours, not only are you going to find information on the birds, you're also going to find information on the facilities. So if you have limited mobility, if you've got limited energy, if you're concerned about whether or not there's a place to sit down so you can enjoy the birds a little bit more easily without cutting your trip short, she's really been the one guiding us through that. So thank you so much for getting involved and just helping us address these things. Julie Amato,
Yes.
We love Julie. She
Thank you,
is
Julie.
involved in many of our committees, especially the development committee. And she's really been helping SCVAS out in applying for grants. She's incredibly organized. She's a sounding board for many of the plans that go through things like our field trip committee. She proofreads. She's just an incredible resource, and she's a total pleasure to work with. So thank you so much, Julie, for all that you're doing for our organization.
Amazing to work with.
So we do have to call out Chuck.
Yes.
So Chuck has been a volunteer with SCVAS for quite a while. I've worked with him on the Birdathon and the outreach committees, although he has just recently stepped back from those positions. But you probably are most familiar with his work. Either you've seen his photographs on our publications, whether it's our website, whether it's the newsletter, our Facebook page, or you're on South Bay Birds, which he pretty much runs. So if you're using that for your local sightings to keep on top of all of the rarities that have been coming in these last couple of weeks, Chuck is really the powerhouse behind that. So thank you so much, Chuck. You are a pleasure to work with.
Yes.
And you know what, this is our opportunity to embarrass all of you guys with just lots of thanks. So Anne Heppenstall is another volunteer that we really do have to thank. She's just taken over our outreach committee, and she's really been a leader in our efforts to reach out to a more diverse community. So our county, the South Bay, is an incredibly diverse area. And one of our major goals as an organization is to reflect that. This is something that's important in terms of just being able to actually represent our community and to make sure that what we're doing is something that people can actually connect with. And that's a little hard to do if you're looking at a website or you're looking at field trip leaders and you're not seeing anyone that looks like you. So Anne has really taken the bull by the horns on this one. She's introduced us to a number of really fantastic local environmental groups, and we're really looking forward to the partnerships that we're building with them. One of these great examples is Saved by Nature. As Matthew mentioned. Next week, Richard Tejeda, the founder of that organization, will be speaking with us Wednesday night as a speaker series. So tune in for that one. All right, one of our new volunteers, Carlos Marquez Garcia. So Carlos is one of the new volunteers who's been involved in translating our adapted field trips into Spanish, which does allow us to connect with a wider audience, introduce more people to the joy of birding, and making it so that as we get outside, we're welcoming to a larger group. So we want to thank Carlos for his work.
Yes.
Now, Eve Meyer is probably a familiar name for most of you guys. Eve is our field trip coordinator. She is responsible for running the three-ring circus that is figuring out how to make field trips work before COVID and during COVID. She has done a complete pivot in what the field trips are and making sure that we're still providing ideas for outings and the information to support birding in a new location that you maybe have never been to or you may have never even heard of without violating any social distancing. So our field trips are now mostly online, but you can still get a ton of information, and while it's not quite the same as being on an in-person field trip, we still have field trip leaders who are providing the information. You just need to come to our website and read about it. Luis Villalbaca is another one of our volunteers who is helping out with the translations. I'm really looking forward to working with him and Carlos on the Wetlands Discovery Program translations. But this is one of these things that we're really trying to embrace with 2020, is making sure that Santa Clara Valley Audubon Society is as diverse as our actual community is.
Yes, 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 for sure.
All right. Danny Christensen and Laura Courtney. So we mentioned our Instagram page. Danny and Laura basically took this and built it from nothing. Our Instagram page has a ton of followers, and it's producing some really engaging content. So this is a great place to check out recent sightings and rarities, photography from our community's members, checking out the local hotspots, and it's all accessible on your phone. And on top of that, they're both fantastic field trip leaders, and they've both contributed to the self-guided field trips that we've now turned to. We do have to thank the actual authors of these. They have to scout out these trips. They're doing a lot of research on the birds, on the facilities of these locations, and then they're writing it all up in something that is legible and engaging and providing pictures. So there's a ton of work that goes into the self-guided field trips, and we have a pretty sizable library. So Bill Pelletier, Kitty O'Neill, Danny Christensen, Laura Courtney, Luis Villalbaca, Dan Bloch, Chuck von Rosbach, Michael Hawk, Mike Ambrose, Adam Burnett, Marianne Robertson, and Julie Amato have all contributed.
So far.
There's a whole list.
And
so
more to
far.
come.
Yeah, that's true. There's more to come. We've got more authors coming in. And this is something that has been expanding regularly. So it's always worth it to take another look back at the website to see if there's new ones, or just check your email for the Avocet updates. We do link the new field trips each month in those emails. And I have to put in a plug for my people. The Wetlands Discovery Program docents have been doing an amazing job. I have had them on Zoom meetings pretty much every week of the shelter in place. So I kind of ruined their plans for an early vacation, summer vacation, and then we worked through summer. And I gave them a lot of work. So they have been doing research on a myriad of topics. They have been going out to get pictures, to record videos. They've just done a ton of amazing work. I cannot thank them enough for all that they've been doing, whether it's been learning new technology, delving far more deeply into the curriculum and the research behind it than I ever expected. They've really gone above and beyond the call for this. So I really do have to thank Elaine Gould, Linda Johnson, Jim Mykrantz, Marianne Robertson, Ginger Langdon Lassane, Garrett Lau, Jim Liskovic, Dwight Agan, and Liz Salzer. They have been doing amazing work, and I'm really appreciative that I get to work with them. So, had to cut out video because my internet was lagging. But I really do have to thank all of our volunteers. Working with you all is one of the joys of working with Audubon. It really is one of the best parts of this job, and we really couldn't do any of this without you guys. So thank you so much. With that,
she cut out. Her, oops. Barry, can you?
Okay, I think her internet
I didn't
has
even-
died. Perfect timing
no.
though
Well, it
for us
looks
to,
like she
to start
finished
to
up.
wrap up. Oh wait, she's back. With that, with that, what? We're all left wondering.
I was gonna say with that, Matthew's gonna take it away, but
Awesome.
All right, Carolyn, thank you.
Um,
That was such a fun part of the show. I love seeing the names. You could hear me. I wasn't able to control my cheering for the people. They're all such great assets to the chapter, and you have managed so many of the projects, and it kept the volunteers on target with everything, and their own passion for the topic and for the work has kept them with you. And thank you so much for the show and for the names, and most especially thank you to all of our volunteers. We can't thank you enough. It's such a joy to have you a part of the chapter. But that pretty much concludes. Well, we wanted to reveal the answers. Let's reveal the answers, and then I'll sign off.
I had two things. First of all, we were going to have a Q&A, but you guys have written so many comments. There's no way I could find the questions if there are any in there. So I hope that your question got answered, but I'll save the chat and look through it later and send emails to anybody that asked questions that we didn't get to. Second is the answers to the quiz questions. Let's see if I can do this. I'm going to share results for quiz question number 1. Can you guys see the results?
Yep.
Okay, so Matthew, you want to reveal the magic bird that has never been recorded in the county?
Well, the odd answer, as far as I could tell, first of all, all this material comes from Bill Bousman's compiled notebooks. And these, I don't know how available these are, but they do exist. And I have a couple copies, 2019, 2017, and they catalog all of our sightings, primarily concerned with the rarities. All of these are rarities. You might be surprised to know that the bird with the smallest range, the range that is actually closest to us, the painted redstart, is the answer for the bird that has never shown up in Santa Clara County. And yet it has a breeding and wintering range that appears to be pretty close to us. You compare that to flammulated owl or magnificent frigate bird, their ranges seem to be far beyond what would be reasonable, but they've all shown up in our county except for painted redstart. And what's the next one?
The next one, let's see how does this work. Number 2, share results. What was the most recent native North American species to be observed for the first time in the county?
Well, it looks like you took out painted redstart on that list, so we know that's not.
I did. So anybody who was paying attention and had memorized the previous one would know right away that was the answer.
Many of these seem to be reasonable additions, I would think. But the most recent one is the LeConte sparrow, which was seen, I think, 2 years ago by Mammoser. in Alviso at the EEC.
Right.
So again, that record is available on eBird, and you can find photographs he took of the bird. So it's quite a remarkable discovery. I think he and perhaps one other person were the only ones to see it. I was too late, but I saw a lot of people there also looking for it in vain.
And I also saw in the Avocet archives, I confirmed that we had said, the LeConte sparrow was seen on this date, and this was the first sighting in the county. So if you go through the archives, you can learn this stuff too. Might not be the most efficient way to get the information. Question number 3. You remember question number 3? I think maybe most people know this one.
Oh yeah.
So the 2 coyotes, these are all real places. These are all local places, but Coyote Hills is out of the county in the East Bay, and Coyote Point, as most people could tell, is out of the county up on the peninsula.
Pretty close.
Near the
though.
Dumbarton Bridge, is that right? Or San
Yeah.
Mateo Bridge? San Mateo Bridge. All right.
Oh, of course, yes.
And then the last one, those tricky warblers. Share results. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can remember them. One of them is American Redstart.
Yep.
One of them is Northern Parula.
Right.
And the last one is
Ovenbird.
Ovenbird. So did anybody get all of those correct?
I was too late. I had 2 and I thought of the Ovenbird later.
Oh,
Out of the Ovenbird.
well, you were close. I'm sure you would have gotten it if you had another couple of seconds.
Yeah, well, I clicked too quick.
And those of you who are historians will remember there was a 4th bird that used to be categorized as a warbler, but is no longer. That also doesn't have a W in its name.
Yes, it
Matthew.
does. Yes, it does.
What? Oh, you're
Yes,
right. It's yellow. Darn it.
What
What is its last name?
You're talking
Never
about
mind.
yellow-breasted chat, right?
Yellow-breasted chat. No longer a warbler, but it used to be considered a warbler.
Well,
So yeah.
yeah. So
So
anyway,
those were our fun quiz questions.
so I'm sure we'll have more fun questions in the future. And the recent Avocet had a track and feather, a little section. If I wonder if anybody's been able to solve that small mystery, but we'll reveal the answer for that in the upcoming Avocet. But anyway, that pretty much brings us to the close of this evening's proceedings. I could not be happier with tonight's event. I think we had good material to share with you. I hope you found it exciting and inspiring, because I sure am. I think the chapter is headed in the right direction. I think we have a positive financial situation. We have an incredible board. We have an unmatched collection of volunteers. We have an absolutely phenomenal staff. And we have all of our donors and all of our members, and that's you. So thank you very much for showing up. I'm gonna let Bill send us out with some more music. You can remain as long as he's playing. There's no need to leave the meeting right now, but we're gonna stop talking and let Bill take over the show. So Bill, take it away. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night, and thank you, Bill, for the opening and the closing music.
Here's a toast to everybody. Everybody, everybody.
To all.
Woo. Thanks, everybody, for great meeting content. And I'm going to play a couple tunes, so feel free to relax and use the chat and work on the silent auction. This is a little untitled blues tune I'm working on right now. Okay. And to close, I would like to do something I was starting to talk about earlier, which is to do Duke Ellington. And as I was saying, I think Duke Ellington will write such strong music that you can do almost anything with it. And on most weeks I do. So as you may have seen in the chat, I host a show every Friday called Friday Jazz Happy Hour. You can find it on YouTube Live. I think there's a link in the chat. So if you like this, tell your friends, and I will see you there on Friday and hopefully out in the field at some point. So this is Caravan. All right, Duke Ellington's Caravan. A lot of fun to play that tune. Gives lots of space for experimentation. You know, compared to YouTube Live, I can't see anybody there, and here I can see your smiling face. That's very gratifying. All right, that's going to do it for me, and thanks very much for listening, and I hope you have a lovely evening.
Thanks again, Bill. That concludes tonight's meeting.
Good night, everybody. Thanks so much for coming.
Right.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Have a great night. Great rest of your weekend.